Hi, I'm Heather with Heather's Cottage School, and today I want to talk about why I don't grade students. So this is quite the paradigm shift from our current model of education, and there are a couple reasons for this. The first one being that learning is a process. It doesn't just happen overnight. There isn't a certain time frame. So instead, what I do is I take students from where they are to where they need to be. Wherever they start, that's where we start, and then we grow from there. Also, every person learns differently and grows differently. And so there are certain ways that a student might learn, and there are certain ways that another student might learn. And because those are different and on a different timeline, it would not be fair for me to grade them along the same level. And so each child is going to have a different level of learning and a level of understanding at different times. And so I grade them based on themselves rather than based on others or any sort of typical child development, right? They're their own person. They have their own brain created by the creator just for them. And so it's going to look a little bit differently than anyone else's. And they're going to learn a little bit differently than anyone else. And so that's okay. And that's why it would be unfair for me to give them grades based on the sort of average of people rather than the individual person. Also, I don't punish children for what they don't know yet. Because learning is a process, because it's going to happen differently for each child, I'm not going to punish that they haven't gotten a piece of knowledge yet. I found this great teacher in early American history, and I wanted to read you just a little bit about him. So his name was Christopher Dock. And in many schools in that day, students might be whipped for not knowing an answer to a question. But Christopher Dock said that if the student was working hard and paying attention, there was no reason to spank him if he did not know an answer. Students who misbehaved were a different matter. Dock punished children who lied, cheated, or swore, and he felt that a teacher should help train up a child in the way he should go. So unfortunately today, grades are the newest form of whipping a child for not knowing the answer. And in fact, today in schools, the new form is whipping teachers for students not knowing an answer, right? And so there's this double layer of punishment for not knowing something. And how cruel is that, truly, to our students and to our teachers? So I don't grade students in the typical sense. Now, I still know where they are. I still know what they need to learn, what they've already learned, what they're struggling with. And instead of giving them grades, I use something based on Bloom's 6 levels of knowledge, or Bloom's taxonomy. And so this is a progression, because learning is a progression. And so there are 6 steps, and this is my progression sheet. This is my progress report. I don't give grades. I show where in the progression they are. I'll go through the progression, and I'll also try to put it at the end of this video, and that way you can see it too, and you can notice where your students are or where your child is, and then just encourage them from there. So the first level, this is the base level, is remembering or memorizing, okay? And so under this, I give a couple different sub-levels for mine. It needs improvement, improving, satisfactory, or excellent. And so those are just the base level, right? Learning the ABCs, memorizing them, memorizing the sounds. That's base level. Just as an example, there obviously, it's a base level for every subject, every topic. There's always going to be a base level, and then they grow from there. The next one is understanding, comprehending, answering, how do you know this is true, right? So I've learned that oftentimes, unless we actually go through this with our students and talk about it with them, they don't understand, well, why is 2 plus 2 4? Why is 6 times 3 18? Why does this happen? And so if we're not answering that for them, we haven't gotten them past that first level of understanding. That's such a disservice, right? We want them to understand to a greater extent than just memorizing, regurgitating. We want them to be able to think for themselves, to process and to create new things, and to be able to solve problems in the future for themselves. remembering and memorizing, understanding and comprehending, and then applying. This is okay, I know this for this problem, now I'm going to apply it to this problem. It's a similar problem, I'm going to apply it. So that's the third one. Number 4, analyzing, breaking down a concept. What are the pieces? What has to be involved? What's missing? Number 5 is evaluating, making judgments about a topic. What are your opinions? What are your thoughts? Can this be done differently? It starts to be this kind of creative and critical thinking in this step. Number 6 is when you know they've mastered it. This is the peak level. This is where teachers are. This is where we hope to be in the subjects we teach, and where we hope our students get it as well, is number 6, which is creating. So this is where they can extend the knowledge to new things. They can build that new robot that they've never seen and just have pieces for. You know, they can teach others, right? So when I see my students actually helping their fellow classmates, oh, let me show you how to do that, I can tell that they have mastery over that concept. So I'll go over them again. Number 1, remembering, memorizing. Number 2, understanding, comprehending. Number 3, applying. Number 4, analyzing. Number 5, evaluating. And number 6 is creating. This is what I base my progress report on, is these levels. And so I can show their parents, hey, like, they're still memorizing, they're still getting it, or they're starting to apply it, or they've mastered it, they're teaching others, right? So this is for their parents' benefit. This is even for their benefit to see where they are. But this is a good way to show others where they are and where they still need to get to. So again, I don't grade. I will show their progress and encourage them to learn from right where they are, rather than giving a baseline of, you have to fit into this mold, you have to learn this at a certain time, you have to know this by 8 years old or you fail. That's not how life is. That's such a terrible thing to teach our children. It's a paradigm shift, and it's one that I think is beneficial to every student, every parent, right? If we came at this in the same way, like, oh yeah, it's okay that I don't know this yet. I have to start from the base and work my way up to get to mastery. That's what we all have to do. And so to give ourselves a little bit of grace in that we're not going to know everything right away. We've got to work for it. So I hope that's helpful. I hope this challenges your way of thinking about grading and your way of thinking about learning. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear any feedback or how it's affected you. Please post in the comments what your thoughts are, and also if you've got any questions that I can answer in the future. As always, practice makes progress because only Jesus is perfect. I'll see you on the next one. God bless.